Hey everyone and welcome back to the sports section. So we've got to talk about the outgoings now. We've been talking about who might join Chelsea, right? But as I said in the last video, I think now in the coming days and weeks, we're going to hear way more about the players that are going to leave the club, as every single club is starting their own preseason. Of course, if you're loaning out a player, you would want that player to join the preseason camp with his team for the upcoming season. Plus, also, if you want to sell some players, now is the time to do so. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the goalkeeper situation as well. And first, talk a little bit about the academy prospects, the excitement about academy players. More specifically here, the previous Chelsea academy star, Josh McEachran. I mean, back then, if you remember, back in 2010, 2011 or so, big talent coming out of the academy. Everybody were saying, oh, he's our next Frank Lampard. So here's a little quote, let's say, from the current British sprinter. I was in Chelsea's academy for 8 years. The one who was the most talented person I've ever seen was a midfielder called Josh McEachran. He was just honestly levels and levels above everyone. Nathaniel Chalobah, Trev's brother, was the year below, but he's gone on. He went on to do some fantastic things. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's from Swanley, who's similar age group to me, but he was a few years younger. We used to travel together and it's great seeing how well he's done. Now, good comments and quite nice to see that he's now a British sprinter, but I do want to touch on the, let's say, Josh McEachran type of player. Great, talented academy player with a lot of hype around him back then. Like we've seen, oh, the next Frank Lampard, the next this, the next that. The thing is, and this is why I've been saying this for quite a while, especially since we are signing a lot of young and talented players, especially since you're seeing on social media a lot of people that are angry or disappointed that we are letting go of some academy players, that some other clubs are buying our academy stars. I was saying, look, they're still young, 16, 15, 17 years old. If they're in the academy, the gap between academy and first team performances, first team levels of emotional toughness, mental toughness, the gap is immense. So let's take the Josh McEachran scenario here. For every Frank Lampard, I believe there are 50 or maybe even more Josh McEachrans. That's why I keep on saying every time we sign a talented player for the academy or for Strasbourg or one that will join Chelsea but will go on loan, keep your expectations low. Because believe it or not, when you become a first team player, everything changes. Yes, you play the same game. The game is still football. The job is still to score more goals than the opposition. The job is still to win the game. Yes, that is true. But everything around that becomes way tougher from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint as well. You've got now way more pressure from the fans because, let's face it, 90% of the fans of a specific club have no clue what's happening around the academy. But once you are joining the first team, suddenly all eyes are on you. So you have more pressure to perform. You're young, you want to go in the team. What you have to do? Well, you have to beat the veterans in that team. And it's safe to say that these veterans will not just sit back and relax and let you take their spot. Plus, since you're trying so hard, every little mistake will be put under the microscope, whether it's from the coach or from the fans. So again, the mental toughness, physical toughness, all of that has to change, and the gap between academy and first team football is immense. I just wanted to put it out there because we have been signing a lot of potential great players in the future, but don't be surprised if a lot of great academy players, if a lot of young players never actually reach their full potential. Of course, it doesn't help when you are injured. It doesn't help when you get sent on loan season after season, and definitely doesn't help when you have to, well, play with players like Frank Lampard, who, let's face it, are one of the best players in their position ever. So those are my thoughts with regards to this situation. Of course, do share your thoughts down in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, notification bell on, do all of that. Let's continue. So there were some reports that said that Enzo Maresca told the club in a meeting this week that he wants a new goalkeeper with good distribution, the same type of skills as Robert Sanchez, who's expected to start at number 1 at the start of the season. Chelsea is looking for a smart purchase, not crazy expensive. Now, to be honest, I mean, if you've been following the videos, you know my thoughts. Robert Sanchez or Petrovic. I think Petrovic, in my opinion, of course, has a higher ceiling, I would say. Might not be as good on the ball as Sanchez, but I mean, the fact we did bring Robert Sanchez from Brighton because he was better on the ball. But all his time at Chelsea, did he really show us that he was better on the ball? I think not. And from a goalkeeping standpoint, I think Petrovic has shown that he is better. Now, again, Robert Sanchez could prove me wrong in preseason and next season, but to have that many choices, I mean, what's going to happen with Petrovic? Are we going to sell him? Because I don't think he would like to be the third choice, right? So, yeah, it remains to be seen. Plus, if we're looking for smart purchases, not crazy expensive, some people have been talking about those two options. The goalkeeper from Alaves and Marcin Bulka, previously Chelsea player, then went to PSG, did not work out. I believe now he is in France. These are the comparisons between the two. Overall, from a ball playing perspective, and even from saves, the goalkeeper from Alaves, Alvaro, is probably doing a little bit better, purely looking at what has happened last season. Of course, different leagues, different teams, etc., fine. But even if you can zoom in a little bit or pause the screen and look at the difference in the heat map, well, you can probably see why Alvaro would be a better choice. Now, in the thumbnail, depending on which one you're getting, I did put the word NFL in, which some of you might not have understood why, so let me explain. This is basically the Maresca system, as we've been talking about for quite a long time right now. I did specific videos about that. If you haven't watched that, I think it's one of the most watched videos on the channel. So here are different positional plays, let's say. On the left here, you can see goalkeeper distribution. So you can distribute to A, to B, to C. Now, what's the point with the NFL here? Well, basically being a quarterback. We know that the goalkeeper could join the back three, making it a back four when the fullback gets inverted, depending on how we're going to play, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, 4-4-2, whatever we're going to play remains to be seen. Of course, we know Maresca's favorite formation, so this is what we get here on the screen. Now, once the goalkeeper transforms into one of the center backs, of course, his distribution and his ball playing skills have to be top notch, because you do not want to have a goalkeeper that suddenly comes under pressure and has no clue what to do, loses the ball, and then we concede an easy goal. Now, of course, in these two examples right here, the goalkeeper still stays in his goal, but like we've seen before, the goalkeeper can join in, form a backline here, or if we look at the bottom picture right here, you've got 3 at the back, but if the goalkeeper joins in, you then have 4 at the back, which allows one of the fullbacks that did not invert to also sometimes move up much higher, putting an extra player on the field and then dominating certain areas. We've been talking about dominating areas in the middle of the park or a little bit higher, and then if the opposition does adapt to that scenario, you just ask your striker to drop in and again dominating those areas with an extra player, opening up some spaces there as well. Then of course the goalkeeper, he's just part of phase 1. If the ball is with the back 4, back 3, or just the goalkeeper, he then becomes, let's say, the quarterback, looks at what's happening, looks at the open spaces. Maybe one of the fullbacks, one of the center backs does attract one player, which will open up some spaces further down the field. And then distribution, of course, is key. So that's probably one of the main reasons why you want to get a good ball playing goalkeeper. Moving on to the outgoing, so Leslie Ogochukwu expected to leave Chelsea this summer, as club now planning for loan move. Chelsea want Leslie to develop and play on regular basis. Understand Premier League and Bundesliga clubs are showing concrete interest. Some are not happy with that. I'm pretty happy with that. There is really no reason for him to stay at Chelsea another season on the bench and not do anything. Give him to a club that will play him week in, week out, where he can still continue to develop. I still don't understand why we bought him from the start, right? Could have benefited from playing another season or two back in France and then see if it really worked out. But okay, I guess we are buying here call options. But yeah, I don't mind him going on loan. And the same with Andrey Santos. He will return to Strasbourg on loan after going on US tour with Chelsea. Deal done. Now, two things here. One, I do not understand why he should go with Chelsea on tour in the US since he's going on loan with Strasbourg. Wouldn't it have been making more sense if the guy went on pre-season tour with his teammates and future club for the season? I just don't get it. Secondly, Andrey Santos, a very, very good player. Would have loved to see him at Chelsea next season, especially since we have the Conference League. I do believe that he has the level to start and even can start some league games for Chelsea as well. But I agree that this is a player that needs to play week in, week out because of the potential that he has. Having another season where half of the season is wasted, to me, was unacceptable. So, okay, he goes back on loan to Strasbourg. Hopefully, they also figure out all of their problems there. I know there is potentially the Hull coach joining Strasbourg. I believe it's Hull City. I think it's Hull City. Anyways, okay, some people here as well are not that enchanté, let's say, not that happy that Andrey Santos is going on loan. But again, I think it's important for these types of players to play week in, week out. Moving over to some permanent moves. So Romelu Lukaku keeps waiting for Napoli. He wants to work under Antonio Conte again. Romelu will reduce his salary from 11 million euros net per season to 6 million euros until June 2027 to sign for Napoli. Okay, very, very good. Deal depends on Napoli-Chelsea negotiations and Osimhen exit, with PSG pushing. So this is another one that will probably make us a little bit of, well, not make, we are going to lose money on Romelu Lukaku, but the fact that we do not have to pay his wages anymore, that's probably the biggest impact, and that's something that will help us moving forward. Lastly, here are the reports that even though Ben Chilwell has 3 years left on his contract, Chelsea could consider selling him if the price is right. He's one of the biggest earners at the club, a reality that comes under great scrutiny the more time he spends on the treatment table. Now, I know a lot of Chelsea fans, for some reason or another, maybe because of big social media accounts, do not like Ben Chilwell. I like him. I think when he's fit, when he plays, he adds a lot to the team. Okay, it's true that we might have paid a lot for him, but we also paid a lot for Cucurella, Mudryk, and a lot of other players at the club. But I do agree that when you look at the injuries, it's not the greatest picture. Now, overall, his output for Chelsea already with less games than Leicester has been better. But let's be honest, for someone that is making so much money at Chelsea, he did miss quite a lot of games since joining the club. Joined the club 2021, missed 7 games. Season after that, 45 games. Season after that, 20 games. And then last season, basically the whole season, right? 35 games. Of course, even with all of those games missed, his output is still okay. But again, do you want a player that locks in so much money in wages for not playing? I don't think so. I also don't think that we now have a valid reason to sell him, because who's going to be his replacement? Yes, we have Vega, we have Cucurella, but I still like to have Ben Chilwell's experience right now for this season. If again he becomes injured, then of course I think it's time to cut our losses and move on. Who will pay money for him if he's always injured? That is also a very, very good question. But overall, yes, I do agree that if we bring in players and they turn out to be not as good as we thought or more injured than we thought, then yes, of course, we need to move on. And this message is also going to the likes of Wesley Fofana. We paid a lot of money for him, and unlike Chilwell, he is yet to prove his worth for Chelsea. Maybe he will do so in the upcoming season, although I still don't see him starting a game if we have a fit Tosin or even Badiashile and Levi Colwill. But I guess we're going to have a lot of questions answered in the coming weeks in pre-season. So that's about it for this video. The team is preparing to leave for the United States for the pre-season tour. Of course, I'm very, very excited to start analyzing games and talk a little bit less about transfer talks, transfer rumors, because let's face it, 1,000 people make the same videos. I'm sure the viewers are tired of hearing the same thing again and again. I'm just here because, well, if I don't make videos, YouTube does not recommend my videos or my channel. I'm trying to grow creators, trying to grow, earn more views, etc., etc. But I do want to make this more of a football channel analysis than just talking about reports and rumors. And I think most of you would definitely appreciate that. And yeah, share your thoughts down in the comment section below. We're maybe going to do also some live streams before the game, after the game, so you can share your thoughts as well and react accordingly. That's about it for this video. Leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.